Hello, my name is Michael Marder. I'm a professor of physics and executive director of UTeach at the University of Texas at Austin. I'm here to tell you about a paper that we are publishing in Education Policy Analysis Archives. The first author is Annelies Rhodes, who was a STEM education PhD student at the University of Texas at Austin, and this was part of her dissertation. The study will be coming out in September 2024. First thing I'd like to tell you as background is that the production of teachers in the United States across all disciplines has been falling for about a decade. In 2010, 2011, 220,000 teachers were produced, and in 2020, 21, that number had dropped to 160,000, even after a slight recent increase. The largest teacher producing state is Texas, and the reason for this is interesting. Texas has an alternative certification sector, largely relying on for-profit companies, that is really unlike any other state. Teacher production is falling just about everywhere, but Texas is in a class by itself. Alternative certification in Texas through for-profit companies began around 2002. By 2016, for-profit alternative certification had surpassed traditional teacher certification. That's what our paper is about, and that's what we're going to tell you about here. However, something that we note, which is very significant, is that this is no longer the boldest experiment being tried in Texas. As of 23-24, by far the largest source of new teachers in the state of Texas was teachers who had no certification at all, so neither alternative nor traditional teacher certification. It's going to be some time before we really have enough data to study what that new development is leading to, but it does make it timely and urgent to understand what the previous experiment with alternative certification has produced within the state. The resource that we used to prepare the research we're discussing here is the Texas Education Research Center. It is an exceptional resource. It provides longitudinal data linking everybody who passes through the K-12 and higher education public education system and also through the workforce. Here, what we used was data available since 2012 that connects students, their teachers, their courses, and scores on all state exams. This was disrupted by the pandemic, so we're using data up through 2019 in this study. We have a lot of results, and when presented in this way in a chart, they may look rather daunting. So I'm going to switch from this chart, which is in standard deviation units as presented in the paper, to this one, which may look a little bit more friendly and is in units of months of learning. What we did was we took every classroom in the state and every year for which we had data, so from 2012 to 2019, and we compared how much students gained year on year on their state mandated tests as a function both of their background, the other students around them, and the preparation pathway of their teacher. And what we found was that students typically gained 1 to 2 months more of learning per year when their teacher came through a traditional pathway. We looked at every subject, every grade level, and every subgroup of students that the state data made available. The panels here in darkest blue are those with the highest level of statistical confidence, and the ones that are light gray are ones for which we were not able to obtain statistically significant results. As you can see, in almost every instance, we did obtain statistically significant results. So here is the bottom line. For every grade, for every test, for every group of students, there is no case where students learn more from alternatively prepared teachers than they do from teachers who came from a traditional pathway. Similarly, there's no case where students learn more when their teachers came from for-profit pathways than they do when their teachers went through not-for-profit programs. And in most cases, students whose teachers came from traditional or not-for-profit programs learn significantly more. These findings have policy implications, and those policy implications are relevant right now. One should support policies that make it less expensive, less time-consuming, and less stressful for students to obtain traditional university-based teacher preparation. You may think that's obvious, but just about every recent change in the state of Texas and all the new changes that have been proposed do exactly the opposite. They make it more expensive, more time-consuming, and more stressful for students to obtain traditional university-based certification, despite the fact that there is an enormous shortage of teachers in the state, particularly in STEM and special education. And teachers who are uncertified are beginning to flood the schools. The quality of traditional teacher preparation is the best we've got. Sure, it could be made better, but the challenge we face is to increase the number of people who enter teaching in this way. For more details, see our paper. For even more details, see the supplementary information.